For people on dating sites like OK Cupid, it could be really hard to find someone who's willing to interact with you if you're open and honest about the fact that you support Donald Trump. So as a result, a number of Donald Trump supporters have decided to create their own dating site where they can openly and freely discuss their love for the Donald. Now, this is known as TrumpSingles.com, and it seeks to bring together like-minded conservative voters who are tired of the hostility shown to them on conventional dating sites.
That's just cheesier than CraftSingles.com.
So the founder says, I think there's a special stigma when people say they're supporting Trump because of some of the harsh things that he said. That immediately gets projected on his supporters, and it makes it hard for them when trying to date. Trump is bastardized and demonized in the media, so I kind of keep to myself that I'm a Trump supporter because people can have a violent reaction to it. Okay. It's hard for me sometimes to meet new people. Now, a quick search finds 0 Hispanic, African American, Arab, or gay men within 100 miles of D.C.
In this app?
Yeah, in this app.
Okay. So they're all white. Okay, I got it. But to be fair to them, there's only 500 members so far. And so I'm not surprised that they couldn't find any Arabs within 100 miles of D.C. on TrumpSingles.com.
Yeah.
But isn't it amazing that we're at a place where one of the major presidential candidates is so polarizing that people are embarrassed to admit that they're fans of his and will go into hiding like they're like that used to happen with gays in the past. Like they're going into the closet. And they're like, okay, I'm a Trump supporter, but I don't want anybody to know. Are you a Trump supporter too? They're Trump supporters on the down low.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're meeting in parks. This is the grinder for Trump supporters. Trumper.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because for some people, political views don't get in the way of their relationship, and I don't know how that works, right? Like, okay, so I'll give you an example. I have a friend whose mom is a Bernie supporter, but her husband is a Trump supporter. But they're like so in love and they're so happy and they somehow make it work. How do you guys disagree fundamentally on politics? Because I feel like that's the core of who you are, right? And still have a happy relationship.
See, that's funny. I just read a blog the other day about an African-American woman who was married to a white guy. And they were fine until Trayvon Martin. And he was like, oh no, Zimmerman was right. And she's like,
what?
What? Wow. So, and they almost got divorced over it.
Yeah.
Not a bad reason.
Well, because politics often reflect your values, right? And you've just given good examples of that. And so, yeah, it's completely believable that you would need to find someone whose mainstream values are the same as yours to the point that you would likely support the same candidate. This seems like an easy election, right? I mean, I doubt you'll find, although they're out there where, oh yeah, my husband's a big Trump guy, but I'm supporting Hillary. You'll hear women say that, or the reverse. I mean, they do coexist in the same house, although I don't understand it because I do think it reflects completely different values.
Look at James Carville and Mary Madeline. What's her name?
Mary Madeline.
Mary Madeline, yeah. That always, I don't know, that's just wrong. There's something wrong
there.
Well,
here's something on that, and this does relate to politics in general. In Washington, and we're beginning to see more of it as TYT has revealed a lot of it. You see the gamesmanship in politics, how it's a game to these people.
Yep.
They go on the Sunday shows and they say things, and being on the Sunday shows is a big thing to them. There's a sort of a pecking order in Washington. And you see how all the deals are made and how, in a sense, nothing reflects their actual values because they've sold out their actual values to corporate interests long before this term of their congressional district or whatever, in the case of pundits, of this term of their punditry has begun. And so with Mary Madeline and James Carville. I believe that's the high watermark of political gamesmanship. Was it informed by actual belief at one point? Yeah, and it may still be to some extent. But ultimately, it's a show now. There's theater to it, and there's big money in it. And now they're doing commercials for Yoplait while they pretend like they dislike each other. And they've lost long ago the real vision for this country.
You nailed it, Mark. I think that's exactly right. So actually, we just did a very long discussion of this in one of our shows, Old School, which you can also get if you remember. It was Wes Clark, Ben Mankiewicz, and myself. And Wes was relaying when his dad was running for president back in '04. And he's like, these guys are all mercenaries, even within the Democratic Party. And to them, it's just a job, it's just a game. So they forgot why they got into it, however long ago they got into it. And so if they think they can gain advantage by being on your team, they're on your team. The minute they think your team's going under, they're going to switch over to the other team who was diametrically opposed. They don't care. It's a game. And so, and now look, to be fair to these people, so not the Trump supporters, but yeah, I guess to some degree, for the Trump dad and the Bernie mom or whatever, a lot of people are low information voters. And although with Trump, it's hard to avoid the terrible things that he said that everybody is aware of. But some people, as I met a flight attendant the other day, she's like, I just like that he's not bought. And all the other Republican politicians are bought. I'm a Republican. I'm a good Christian. I believe in, the Republican Party. And finally, I get to vote for a Republican who isn't bought. So there is that too, right?
Yeah, but isn't he fundraising now? I mean, he's about to be bought.
Well,
Yeah.
he's
Of
of course, if you
course,
actually
but they
talk
don't
to that
know
person,
that.
yeah,
And
he's bought by his own self-interest.
Yes.
It's just that he's not bought by corporate interest in the traditional sense. He's completely bought. The only way and the only values that are associated with Trump are associated with Trump. He wants to enrich himself. This is the reason that he wants to throw out the existing banking rules. He wants to reverse Dodd-Frank. He wants to throw out all the environmental legislation. He said these things. Why? Because he's a businessman. Let's get this country back to making money. For me first, and then the rest of you will follow.
If you have to go in hiding to support a candidate, you might want to think twice about why you're supporting that candidate. And if it means you can't even get laid because you're supporting a candidate, no woman will touch you.
Yeah.
You might want to reconsider why that is. Maybe they're not so wrong.
But people justify their own political beliefs, right? So they'll say, oh, it's because these people are unreasonable and they just don't understand. They're too politically correct, so they don't understand, the importance of Donald Trump or whatever. People like to justify things. But regardless of the game that politicians are playing themselves and whether or not they're disingenuous about their own political ideology, for those who are high information voters, for those who actually pay attention, I just don't get how you could be open to dating someone who has a completely different political view than your own. I can't do it. I know this probably makes me a bad person, and that's fine. You can judge me for it. I look down at people who vote for Trump, right? As soon as someone tells me they're voting for Trump, I look down at you, and I wouldn't date you. I certainly wouldn't fuck you, right? So, sorry.
There goes that.